Space. 99% of the universe is space. Space has to be one of the most complicated words humans have ever come up with. Like the number 0, it's one of those things that everyone understands intrinsically, but take one look beneath the surface and you start to find that it's very self-contradictory. Okay, so the word requires some kind of context before you can begin to use it. I think when most people think of space, they think of somewhere other than Earth, the moon, the solar system, the galaxy. Me, I tend to think of space in terms of boundaries. Walls create boundaries between spaces, and when you create boundaries in the physical world, you also create boundaries inside people's minds. This helps us organize spaces into places, and when spaces become places, they take on meaning in how we interact with them. You're probably watching this video in a bedroom where you sleep, in a living room where you live, I guess, or in an office where you escape from working. Wherever you are right now, you know instinctually to behave in a certain way because you've inferred it from the environment. What happens then when boundaries are removed and space is considered in the context of nothing? Sometimes when I dream, I find myself in an impossibly massive structure. There are multiple floors, shafts that stretch far up above and below, an endless series of hallways and staircases, and always some kind of additional nearby wing. Whether I'm lucid in the dream or not, I always know that there's some place I have to be. I'm just not sure where exactly. The entirety of the dream consists of walking endlessly around this labyrinth of places that aren't really places, but more like areas between places, areas that are supposed to lead you to places. It's weird because sometimes I find just walking around and marveling at all the features very calming. I'm always by myself in these types of dreams, so I can go at my own pace and just sort of figure things out. Or not, because the journey is often just as stimulating, if not more so, than where I'm actually supposed to be. But this isn't always the case. When you get right down to it, these kinds of experiences are analogous to being lost, and that's a frightening thing. To have place is to at least approach the idea of having somewhere where you belong. Everyone needs somewhere to belong. But if everywhere you are is just somewhere on the way to somewhere else, then you can't possibly belong, because you aren't anywhere to belong to. The universe is a tricky thing. There's no set path laid out before you to follow, and there isn't necessarily somewhere for you to end up. We're all just sort of floating around, looking for somewhere to belong, or someone to care, before the forces of nature inevitably sort us out against our will. Whoever you are, if you're watching this, I'm sure you've felt lost at one point or another, whether it be in your waking reality or otherwise. That's okay. To live is to move, and with movement comes change. Trust your instincts. They were gifted to you from gods we call ancestors, and you are living proof that they were onto something. I remember as well from those same dreams that I would always end up somewhere nothing like where I started. Sometimes it was good, sometimes it was bad, but I never didn't appreciate it. In my mind, there's nothing more akin to hell that I can imagine than endless repetition. You too might end up somewhere worse than where you started. If that happens, don't be afraid, because with enough time and enough effort, you'll eventually end up somewhere better. Maybe even someplace you've been searching for all this time. You might even find me there, and if you do, I'll be sure to say hello and welcome.